But tell me about your company, Italic, and how did you come up with the idea, and how's it going so far?
Yeah, sure. So Italic is what I like to say is it's a marketplace that connects high-end manufacturers behind some of the world's top brands directly to end consumers who can purchase those same quality products for anywhere from, let's say, 50 to 80% lower than, let's say, if they bought that from a brand or retailer. We've been around for about 3 years. It's been pretty good. I think we've stayed under the radar for a while. We now have about 70 or so manufacturers, a couple hundred products ranging from cookware from the same factories as Allclad and Staub to, let's say, sweaters from the same manufacturers as Sandro and bedding from the same factories as like Four Seasons, St. Regis, so on and so forth. And we've been able to, I think, amass a pretty loyal customer base. And in terms of the idea, the short of it is my family's been in manufacturing for 40, 50 years. It's
in China.
Yeah, mostly China, but we've had some stuff in Europe and South America.
Oh, okay.
And the way I like to say it is if you know anything about manufacturing, it is literally the worst business in the world. It is super low margin, super competitive. You're selling what is essentially a commoditized service for the lowest possible cost, and your clients, are really the ones who make the most in terms of the margin. You simply provide a value-added service. You take your margin, and then you kind of give it to someone else who takes the inventory risk and sells it for 5-10 times what they paid you for. So, I think in the past couple of years before Italic, I started kind of thinking about, hey, what can we do for the manufacturing side and the supply side of the world, especially in the whole heyday of a lot of these direct-to-consumer consumer brands that had popped up over the past decade. And I think that's actually kind of a misnomer because originally they did cut out the retailer. So they were able to kind of pass on some of the savings to the brand. But now that, or to the consumer, but now that Facebook and Google are so competitive and so expensive, it's effectively the same product as let's say a legacy brand.
The same cost structure, you're saying. So,
exactly.
Somebody who is selling, a Sunglass Hut has to do a retail store, but then, Warby Parker has to have, an online presence and they have to pay for traffic. So one's paying for it and giving the money to Facebook and Google for customers. The other one is giving the money to a landlord for it, traffic.
Yep, exactly. Same thing.
When I look at the site and I see sunglasses and I say, oh, wow, these sunglasses, these Hancock round acetate sunglasses, they look great, by the way. I've always wanted to own a pair of these, but they're really expensive, so I don't like to buy expensive sunglasses. And these are only $30. And it told me, hey, these are like Lacoste. Am I pronouncing Lacoste correctly? And then Superdry and Chanel. Channel. I don't know what this channel is. No, Chanel. So what they're saying is the past clients of the people who made these glasses, that factory has, you're not saying these are the same glasses as Chanel or Superdry, to be clear. You're saying that factory previously had customers including Chanel and Superdry, correct?
Exactly. Yep, that's right. And the whole value prop is, that's kind of how we build the quality association. Is like, hey, this is a legit product. It's not just like your average kind of direct consumer brand that buys low, sells high. But this manufacturer who used to produce for these kind of clients, you should expect a high quality, similar to those brands.
And it says here that they're Zeiss lenses. I'm assuming Carl Zeiss lenses, which are very high end, I think German lenses. I'm not sure if they're actually made there or not. So let me just be frank here. In another world, before you existed, sometimes these factories, I'm not saying the ones you work with, might run off an extra 1,000 pair of Chanel glasses, and they might sell them on a marketplace like eBay or Alibaba as knockoffs or on Canal Street in New York, and there were counterfeits. In a way, is what you've done said to those same factories, listen, you don't need to counterfeit. That's wrong. That's illegal. You're infringing on people's IP. But you are a sunglass manufacturer and you have this factory. You're entitled to make your own brand. We will enable you to sell directly to the same customers. All you need to do is make a great product that we approve of. Am I correct that that's what's happening here ecosystem-wise?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a good gist of it. And really the incentive here for the manufacturer, if you think about it, is like, why are they doing that in the first place? Really, it's the only channel that a manufacturer has to generate revenue is to go get another client who it's the same model as always. Like you start with a model, you start with an order. The manufacturer maybe makes 20 to 25% on top of cost of goods. So if it's like a $10 product, they're making they're going to add $2 to $2.50 on top of that $10 kind of cost per unit. And then they'll sell it to a brand who's ultimately going to sell that for, let's say, 60, 70, 80, sometimes like $100. And the brand actually keeps the majority of the margin. And whether they sell it to the retailer or to, directly to a consumer, it's still the same kind of playbook there. So as a manufacturer, like the only way you can grow your business is by adding more and more clients or by increasing the volume of production that these guys are running.
Yeah, they're in a trap. It's a race to the bottom.
Really
There's no way for them ever to make margin. So what you've done is said, hey, listen, make a high quality product. You don't have to worry about doing the ad campaign of Chanel. You don't have to worry about building a presence in the United States. We'll be that presence for you. And you've essentially created a house brand like Amazon or Whole Foods is 365 or Amazon Basics. But these are anything but basics. I'm looking at like the suede jackets and the hoodies. They're not cheap. They are. Mm-hmm. They do seem to fit into what I would call value. Am I correct in how you're positioning this? Like, it's value. So you save 50%, but it's not like buying whatever that like $10 Amazon really junky thing that falls apart.
Yeah, we want to provide essentially the highest quality product possible for the lowest possible price point, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the cheapest. It also doesn't mean it's going to be like the most luxe kind of artisan-made product. But at the same time, I think for the majority of the people who are shopping online, like that's actually a value proposition that people can get behind. I think really it speaks to the alignment of incentives. Our customers, historically, they're always told like, hey, to buy something nice, you have to pay a lot of money for it. Or if you want something cheap, it's going to break after 2 to 3 wears if it's apparel. And I think that the notion with Italic is like, actually, if you remove the biggest middleman of all, which is the brand, you're actually able to deliver that high quality product, but for a mass market price point.
Which reminds me of Uniqlo. That seems to be the closest to what you're doing. Okay, everybody, let's take a moment to talk about growth marketing and all the tactics and hacks that are out there. With me today, Jake Badsgaard. He is the CEO and founder of Disruptive Advertising, which you can visit at disruptiveadvertising.com/twist. So, some questions for you, Jake. What are some of the tips you have for marketers who are planning to take advantage of Black Friday and Cyber Monday this year?
Yeah, Jason, 2020 was a phenomenal year for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and 2021 is shaping up to be as good, if not better. We actually have a benchmark report where we're monitoring $250 million in media budgets. And we're seeing that CPMs are starting to rise in the 20 to 40% range in a lot of industries. And so I'm just worried that a lot of companies are going to get surprised that there's a lot of demand, but the competition is up as well. And if they don't have a good strategy for that, they're going to spend the same amount and get less performance, or they're going to have to spend a lot more to get the same performance. And so they've got to get on top of that.
So if you want to sign up for a free digital marketing audit with Jake and his company, Disruptive Advertising, just visit disruptiveadvertising.com/twist. And if you go into business with Disruptive, you will receive a $250 gift card and a free Friday to Sunday ski trip in Utah. We'll see you on the slopes. It's going to be a great season.